Now we've got an interesting tape here. It's a copy tape which you won't be able to see, fuck's sake. Yeah, well, you'll have to take my word for it. Hang on a minute. Let's try this. Maybe that works a bit better. No, a bit fucked really. There we go. Anyway, this is some sort of copy tape. It's not even been rewound. The cocksucker. Look after your tapes, motherfucker. And this one apparently has Shadowfax 2, which I presume is not a sequel we've never heard of. This is how you find games that are not in Game Base 64. Going through loads of old tapes and discs full of cracks. Now after that is something called Alien. I don't know if that's the Argus Press software release. You know, the official game of the movie. Which that prick nostalgia nerd said, "Ooh, I wish there was a game like Alien, the 1979 movie. In the 1990s I would have bought it for my C60. Fucking knobhead. If you had a clue what you were talking about, you'd say a brilliant cinematic, unbelievable version for the Amiga 1000. I would have bought that, yeah. Fucking knob. Not even the AGA version. And something after that called Invader Fall. Shadowfax 2. But we've rewound the entire tape. Actually, you should technically type new. So anyway, after that is something called Aliens. After that is something called Invader Fall. But if it doesn't load, I can't get to them sections. There's not even any tape counter things going on. So yeah, I suspect this tape is going to need a very, very low mileage Commodore tape deck. Which is how I got a game that would refuse to work, which no one else had a copy of, to finally work. I bought a Commodore 128D, new old stock. Again, with a fucking out of memory error. So we're not playing that then. Ah well, that's such a short section, I can't be bothered to turn the camera off. Now, I've mentioned Ghostbusters many times, but I'm holding off on that one right now, if you don't mind. Let's try and load Humpty Dumpty meets the Fuzzy Wuzzies. Refuse to work on either side, so Groovy Garden it is then. I do have Humpty Dumpty, also by Arctic, Humpty Dumpty in the Garden. There you go. That's a complete Humpty Dumpty set for the C64. Complete collection. Give me 300 quid, mate. 300 quid. Cheaper half the price. I took a bag home last night. It cost me more than... No, that don't really work for me because I don't do that thing. Right. As long as you type new, everything else is fine. Yeah, the instructions for this are a bit fucked, and I've got the wrong reading glasses, and the lighting conditions are absolutely shit. I can't actually read anything there. Groovy! Found Austin Powers, obviously. See, if you don't have flashing lines, then it's actually difficult to know if it's actually loading the second bit or not. Now, what no one has ever been able to tell me is, how is it that if you just type load, not shift and stop, aka run stop, how that first part of the program still runs automatically. Try it with any commercial game. I don't know, take Monty on the Run or something. Just type in load, you know, one key at a time, press return, and it will automatically run the next bit. Oh, this isn't good. Here we go, reset city, so that's fucked. Now, there is some sort of label on the back that's even more knackered than the one on the front. But, never judge a tape by its label. Yeah, I don't know if this actually, how long is this bloody tape actually? Is this a short tape? So quick look. It's a very short tape. Another VIC 20 conversion. You love it, mate. Blink and you'll miss it loading stroke resetting your C64. So we're having a lot of trouble with some of these later tapes. Now all my tapes are all mixed up together. So Impossible Mission is another one I'm holding off doing. Okay, this has got loads of dots on it and I don't know if that's right. So really, unlike if I bought a Tapuino, you know, loading these tapes up 40 years later is not really the same experience I remember. I never had a single game that I bought that didn't load. So, you know, this sort of bullshit where people say, oh, tapes are unreliable. Yeah, tapes are unreliable on things like the original Spectrum, BBC Micro, Electron, MSX, things that didn't have a dedicated tape deck with a direct feed into the computer. So that's not going to work. It's a very short tape. I just want to see if it's a bloody centipede thing. So who makes this shit? I actually read, I can see arcade game, Groovy Garden written twice. There may be a publisher written on it, but I can't see it. No idea. And the instructions on the inlay look like they've been printed on a daisy wheel. So I'm guessing it's quite an early game. Now, obviously we just loaded Rambo and had a few problems, but I don't think it's a C64. So I've got a whole load of tapes here I won't mind trying, but of course if they don't work. So really you need a Tapuino. Now, did find another copy of Now Games. So I've got 2 copies of this now. So yeah, it's coming up with the same thing twice. You know, so it's consistent. So that side is labelled differently. Or it's consistently fucked, so it comes up with that. So the first game on here is Lords of Midnight. Now I do have the instructions for this compilation, but I don't think the Lords of Midnight instructions on here would be particularly verbose. I'm sure Lords of Midnight originally came out on the large, you know, halfway between A4 and A5 sort of cardboard box that Beyond Software used to do. I'm sure that's where it came in. But I only had Lords of Midnight on here, so I wouldn't have been able to play it any better any other way than with the Now Games compilation. I did have Tales of the Arabian Nights and Bijama Rama on original tapes. So I would have bought this probably because of Falcon Patrol 2, because I had Falcon Patrol 1 and loved it. And Strange Loop, so that looks like quite a nice game when it's loaded up. Right, now we're going to have to get a bit Olivia Newton-John on it now. If I could be bothered, I would stick in a bit of Let's Get Physical by Olivia Newton-John, but I don't, so should be rewound a lot. I'm realigning the magnetic fields there on the tape. Now it could be that this tape deck is, you know, 75-80% fine, whatever, something like that, but it won't load these tricky games. You get the same thing with disk drives. So I think really, unless you've got a whole load of games that are not, you know, preserved as full tape images that you want to play, then really should get a Tapuino before you get an SD to IEC. I think the tape loading experience for most of us Europeans, I think that's more important. Do like the mechanical interaction of actually using the you know, the clunky keys and hearing the motor and everything and the gears and all that. So no, it's not going to work. This game will not work. So you might think, oh, is that a VIC-20 game if it's such a short game? But no, it actually says Commodore 64 on both the tape and the inlay. Another fail. No, let's see another game. I've got 2 or 3 copies of Mega Wars. Well, there's quite a lot of tape on there, so it's been left exposed at a very vulnerable area. So here's Mega Wars. It's not really bright enough to read the instructions with these reading glasses. Leviathan, Scuba Dive, Percy, Humdinger, Titan, Skull. I think that's an adventure. Right, 3D made. Flyer Fox, which I did have. Whirlybird. I might do Whirlybird next. So I wouldn't mind loading tapes if it was actually, you know, 1980s and the tapes were still, you know, in good nick. Don't like it now because it's too hit and miss. But like I was saying, the reason you got load errors on tape all the time. Well, that's interesting what it's done there. Great. And it's failed just where the tape wasn't fucking rewound. Like I said, look after your tapes, you cocksuckers. But then I bought these tapes. 95% of the games I got on the C64 are really what came in bundles, because I would only buy, you know, C64s with a reasonable amount of games in a bundle. They didn't have to be like, you know, all the best games in the bundle, but there had to be games that I didn't have mostly. So, you know, you can end up with multiple copies of some games, inevitably. But oddly, I never managed to get a copy of Nebulous, and I think I only have 1 copy, possibly 2, but I do think I have a full price copy, but I definitely have it on a compilation, which I bought from a car boot sale for about £1, maybe a couple of quid. So yeah, the reason they won't load there is because you got like manual volume settings that you can set infinitely, and obviously the quality of the leads and all that for the tape deck you're using. But it's not like that on the C64. It's a direct feed from the tape heads with specific volume levels. Well, that's interesting because now it says data before it said found megawars. Yeah, I've got loads of tape decks. That's not really a problem. But like I was saying, this tape deck may only be sort of like, you know, 75-80% okay. I do have one or two tape decks that are pretty much tape decks I'll use just to see if I can get a game that doesn't work to work. It's really so you can work out if there's a problem that's you know, permanent on the tape rather than you know, something that's just, you know, pushing the tape deck. Not really liking the jitterbug noise coming out of the tape deck there. So we've got Super Grand as well, something called Mr. Robot. But I think we'll do Whirlybird if this does not work. No, the tape seems to be going around normal speed. Can't really hear that. So yeah, I think Tapuino is a way to go, and I think the equivalent for the Spectrum and Amstrad and MSX is called ZX Duino or something. There is a similar product for that. You don't have to get the, you know, the Div-IDE thing, which is quite expensive actually. It's about 3-4 times the price, and it's more difficult to find. So that's not going to work. Wow, there's a little rewinding. Yeah, I should rewind it really, but yeah, this is annoying. Our Atari is another machine that has you know, their own dedicated tape decks. This one's got a full printed label on both sides, so maybe they spent the extra money on decent mastering. Channel Z. So I don't think I've ever seen Whirlybird. Again with the microscopic fucking fonts for the instructions. However, famously when I was a teenager playing these games, I had well above average eyesight. So it wasn't a problem at all. I used to have a 15.5-inch widescreen laptop about 15 years ago, and the resolution on that screen was like, was either 1920 by 1080 or 1920 by 1200. Probably 1200 because they're usually 16 to 10. And I could see every individual pixel. It wasn't just a case of, oh, I can read that no problem, or I get a sense of the pixels. No, I could see every individual pixel on the LCD. I don't like these shit loaders. Weird loaders tend not to work. Probably because the people who wrote them don't know what the fuck they're doing. So yeah, I did find a whole load of tapes, but not the clamshells or the double cassette cases, like I said. I'm not that fussed about Nebulous because I don't really like it. It's a fiendish game. I've actually played it on this C64 about 2 weeks ago, and I wasn't recording it. The camera was actually charging, but that was a rude awakening. I wonder why Chocolatey actually like sitting on the 1701. See, when it does that, I don't know if it's loading or not now, because it may have just auto-run a program. Yeah, I mean, luckily for us C64 users, can actually write your own loading routines to overwrite the built-in ones, unlike the poor Atari users. So yeah, because most of my games come from various C64 bundles I bought. Now, I probably bought more than 30 of those. Yeah, there's probably 50 to 100 games on there. Well, you know what they say, loading time, so it must be time for the tea. Now, I've had my bacon and boiled egg slices baguette, so that's not a problem. However, I haven't had my medication yet. However, Chocolatey has indeed had most of his dinner, which he's allowed to have in you. Oh, what's that say? Reset tape counter? Oh! Oh, I definitely could not have written that in BASIC. Not. Oh, that tea is still quite hot. It's not the strongest tea I've ever made. Yeah, that's the trouble if you have milk in your tea, which is the proper tea for the UK. I got no problem with having tea without milk. Didn't have any milk for like 5 days, so no choice really. Okay, you can't seem to drop anything on there. So, am I supposed to collect something? So you can't actually crash, but you can't actually, hang on, are we supposed to take out the boats? Yeah, we get one game to load out of 4 and it has to be this shit. I guess this is Dawn of Commodore bollocks then, isn't it? Okay, there must be some sort of bomb. So do we have to collect ammo for like the bombs or something? No, so you definitely can't touch that thing. Oh, actually, here we go. Damn it. Jesus Christ. You can't shoot anything. That's that's really dumb. So you got things firing at you, and you can't fucking shoot the cunts. Crap. Next. Now I did have a game called Whirlybird on the C64. It's probably one of those games I really haven't played for nearly 4 decades now. Not a fan of that. Came in a double cassette. I think it was US gold. I'm pretty sure it was US gold. In the UK, I don't know if it was something else. So it's a bit of a problem. Actually, it says on the instructions which order they come in. So first it's Lords of Midnight, then Brian Bloodaxe, then Strange Loot. So actually the one I would have probably played the most initially is going to be Strange Loot. I can't actually see which is side one. And it hasn't been fucking rewound again. You fucking idiot. And I'm not talking to myself here. So, if Pyjama comes up, there's no point really loading that because, well, Falcon Patrol is on the end of side 2. Alright, so it's Lords of Midnight. Strange Loop is the third one on it, so I did see a torch under here. Let's have a quick look at it. The role you play, you the player, have to excuse me, this is not actually my reading glasses, take the role, I'm not going to be able to read that, am I? The role of Luxor the Moon Prince, by virtue of the moon ring, you can control either characters that are loyal to you, move them through the landscape of midnight. Trying to get the light just right on the instructions so I can actually read them without them glaring. And look through their eyes. Some of these are bloody hell choice of good. There are 2 distinct ways of winning victory. There's no point really playing this because I can barely read these fucking microscopic fucking fonts. That's the trouble playing these things now. So yeah, fuck me. It's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7 sides. Is you know, and they even include a map, a tiny fucking map. There you go. That's your map, mate. Good luck fucking reading that with your half century old eyes. So won't be playing Brian Blood Axe. Just don't look like it's going to load anyway. Yeah, Lords of Midnight is a great game. However, you do need to really sit down and read some good instructions on that. Brian Blood Axe is shit already done that. Strange Loop is not a bad game, and Falcon Patrol 2 is almost as good as Falcon Patrol 1. Although I find it more annoying to play and the sound effects not quite as amazing. They're pretty close, but he's changed something. Old Steve Lee there, me old mucker. This is called Wheelies by the Micro Selection. The game does actually look quite interesting, so yeah, I don't believe this is loading anymore. And when this happens, you won't be able to actually well, there's been a colour change, but unless it resets, you're a bit fucked really. Yeah, it's a bad idea. Let's just rewind that. I've got all these on the SD to IC, so there's no real point loading this. Now if Strange Loop was first and it loaded, would have been pretty good, but neither of those cases in point seem to be apparent in this reality. Now Wheelies, I don't think I would have this on the old there's sellotape all around this cassette for some reason. Why would anyone put sellotape all the way around it? How weird. And it is rewound. It's rewound onto the side with a tape label. So yeah, there's no point, you know, stuff that I'm supposed to be doing, you know, compilation reviews with. Oh, we got Cauldron 2 there, I don't think so. Monkey Magic, any screenshots? Solar software games are like 99% shit. Many copies of Forbidden Forest. And again we got White Viper. But, where was that? It's called Mega. Is that it there? That's Peter Shilton's. There's Mega Hawk. We'll be playing Mega Hawk, I think. Oh, this program carries a lifetime guarantee. Should it fail to load for any reason, please return it to Big G, who will replace it. Do not take it back to your dealer. Let's see what it says on that. Now, this guarantee is only valid direct from Big G and is given over and above your statutory rights. The tape label on this is a bit shit actually. Yeah, Big G were in, they only did 2 games, Xylogon, which I've already done, and Mega Hawk, which is the one I didn't have, but which is better, much better. I actually would have been quite happy with Mega Hawk if it was in 1983. Even in 1984 it'd be alright. probably only be £6, £6.50. So again, there's no fucking flashing lines or anything, so I don't know if this is working. It can go up there, but yeah, not having any memories, bit of a problem. Doing a wee while I'm sitting down at the computer desk, which is not what I'm doing, obviously. Look, there's a thermos, mate. There you go. Oh, that didn't work. Handily, there's hardly any fucking tape on this thing. Yeah, well, I could play Twin Kingdom Valley. There's no point recording that. Fucking battery light is flashing already, and it's only been 36 minutes. I think I may have spent 5-10 minutes doing something else, but yeah. Would you still play C64 games? So really, for me, let's say I was the PlayStation generation. I was born 2 decades later. So the VCS is really replaced by the PS1, maybe the 3DO. No, I don't think it came out that much earlier. Alright, well this does appear to be loading. Now that the fucking battery's gone all millennial and given up. But yeah, if you was like from the PlayStation generation, would you actually play 8-bit computer games? That's an interesting point. If you don't have any memories, I mean, it's a bit like watching 60s and 70s movies if you grew up in the 90s. But not quite, because, you know, camera technology didn't advance that much. Now, obviously watching shitty 15 frames per second black and white silent movies with some shit piano soundtrack is a lot different to watching, you know, some 1960s film like, trying to think of one now, a good one. There are some, I just can't think of any at the moment. Yeah, that's weird. I'm sure there are 1960s films that I like, a few. Mostly 70s onwards though. But yeah, would you still play these games? Without any memory of them? That's a problem. Great. That sounded suspiciously like a reset there. Could be a problem with the tape. So we didn't get to make any new memories, I know that much.